On News Hour tonight, President Tinubu appeals to Nigerians to shelve planned nationwide protests. CBN raises interest rate to 26.75% amid soaring inflation. National Assembly passes minimum wage bill in record time. On the foreign scene, dozens killed in Ethiopia landslides, including rescuers. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Aisha Salihu. President Bola Tinubu has appealed to Nigerians, especially planning to roll out protests in the following days, to shelve those plans in the country's interest. Minister of Information Mohammed Idris shared the president's plea with newsmen at the State House, Abuja, after meeting with him in his office on Tuesday. Kaide Amodu reports.
The uppermost topic on the lips of most Nigerians has been the hunger in the land and how prices of things they used to take for granted have skyrocketed. Security agencies initially did not pay heed to the murmurings in the background, hoping that by ignoring them or downplaying them, the plans of a protest will go away. Now the highest office in the land is acknowledging that indeed some people are planning protests.
Mr. President does not see any need for that. He's asked them to shelve that plan. He's asked them to await government's response to all their pleas. He has listened to them, like I said, and a lot is happening. Only today, the National Assembly has expeditiously passed the new national minimum wage. You can see how the president is working. It was transmitted only yesterday. Today it has been passed. A lot of other interventions that the president has also put in place are also going to be looked at expeditiously in the interest of Nigeria. So there's no need for strike. The young people out there should listen to the president and allow the president more time to see to the realization of all the goodies he has for them.
It is ironic how the planning of the protests is being zeroed down to young people. They are being assured that the president is taking their views seriously. The minister is going one step further to reveal plans that the president has for the country, which he says will be executed expeditiously.
The federal government approved grains for and rice for state governments. It was delivered to them expeditiously also. The federal government is not, like I said that the other time, that it is not the necessary first step. Government is going to continue in that direction, supporting them and ensuring that whatever intervention that the federal government has put in place go to those that should benefit. It is very important that that is being put out. Federal government is looking at strategies to ensure that every intervention goes directly to those who benefit from those interventions, not middlemen.
The whole idea being pushed by the government spokesman is that the Tinubu government is all-inclusive and no one will be left behind. It remains to be seen if the planners of the protest will be convinced that this inclusiveness will benefit all classes of Nigerians. From State House Abuja, Kaide Amodu, Trust TV News.
Also, the Nigeria Labour Congress on Monday issued a warning against any attempts to suppress Nigerians' fundamental right to express their views, particularly in the light of the planned nationwide protests. The NLC instead called on the government to engage the protesters constructively rather than resorting to measures that could undermine citizens' rights to voice their grievances. The Labour Union also called on President Bola Tinubu to listen to the cries of Nigerians over hunger and widespread hardship in the country. A section of Nigerians have been mobilized to start nationwide protests on August 1 under the hashtags Tinubu Must Go and Revolution 2024. The presidency, however, described such calls as treasonable, as it also accused the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and his supporters of spreading the hashtags. In a lengthy tweet published on his X account on Saturday, the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, alleged that the sponsors of the protests were not Democrats, but anarchists. On security matters, the Nigerian Army has rescued, another Chibok girl from the Sambisa forest during its operations in the enclaves of Boko Haram terrorists. The young lady was presented before journalists in Maiduguri during a press briefing at the Mai Malari cantonment, and she was handed over to the Borno state government. According to the theater commander of Operation Hadin Kai, her rescue makes it 19 of the girls rescued by the frontline troops in its counter-insurgency operations in the northeast region. She was rescued along with her 2 children and also 330 women and children who were also handed over to Borno state government through the Ministry of Women Affairs.
The theater will continue to do its best to rescue the remaining Chibok girls in captivity in line with the strategic guidance of the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief of Army Staff. We equally thank the Chief of Army Staff for all the support he has been rendering to the theater, which was instrumental in the conduct of successful operations that has facilitated the rescue of Ms. Ihi Abdul from Sambisa Forest.
I have been married to 8 different men. I separated from some of them while others died. I cannot remember the exact number of years I spent there, but I think it is between 9 or 10. Life there was okay, so I decided not to leave until now. I have not met some of my Chibok colleagues, but some that we interacted with have no intention of leaving.
The Nasarawa State House of Assembly has called on the state government to flush out all illegal miners in the state to curtail insecurity and other criminalities. Speaker of the House, Danladi Jato, made the call in a matter of public interest raised by Representative Daniel Ogazi during the House proceedings in Lafia.
Worried by the influx of illegal miners in the state, a motion was raised by the member representing Kokona East, Daniel Ogazi, who said recent activities of illegal miners are becoming a security threat to the people. In his submission, measures have been taken to protect people of the state. He lamented that a mining site in Kokona local government is threatening the inhabitants of the area.
The illegal miners that came into these communities from both within and outside the state had also not only settled there to do illegal mining, but has even given the communities a new name. And that name has signified threat to the life and property of our people.
Reading the resolution of the Assembly on the trend, Speaker of the Assembly, Danladi Jato, lamented the negative impact of illegal miners in the state. He directed that all illegal miners be sent out of the state with immediate effect.
Any miner without approval or license from the cadastre is seen as illegal miner and should be flushed out of this community immediately.
The Speaker said that the House would support the state government to flush out illegal miners, as these will in turn promote peace and development in the state, stressing that the issue is creating tension across the state, hence the need for security agencies to do the needful.
The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria has raised the monetary policy rate, which benchmarks interest rates to 26.75% from 26.25%. Olayemi Cardoso, governor of the Apex Bank, announced the rate adjustment on Tuesday at the end of the committee's 296th meeting in Abuja. Last week, Nigeria's inflation rate rose to 34.19% amid the surge in food prices. The MPR is the baseline interest rate in an economy, as every other interest rate used within the economy is built on it. Chamun Dabeng tells us more.
The Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee at its meeting said raising the NPR by 50 basis points from 26.25% to 26.75% is in line with the prevailing economic situation in the country.
The committee's decisions are as follows. 1. Raise the NPR by 50 basis points to 27.65% from 26.25%. adjusted the asymmetric corridor around the NPR from plus 100 to minus 300 to plus 500 to minus 100 basis points. Retain the cash reserve ratio of deposit money banks at 45% and merchant banks at 14%. Retain the liquidity ratio at 30%.
The committee took into consideration the ongoing food inflation, which jeopardizes price stability. The bank said while monetary policy has been reducing aggregate demand, it has noted that growing food and price development is still being pressured upward by energy costs.
The prevailing insecurity in food producing areas and high cost of transportation of farm produce are also contributing to this trend. Members were therefore not oblivious to the urgent benefit of addressing these challenges, as it will offer a sustainable solution to the persistent pressure on food prices. Also noted in its consideration is the increasing activities of middlemen who often finance smallholder farmers, aggregate, hoard, and move farm produce across the border to neighboring countries.
In order to address the shortfall in food supply in the Nigerian market and control food prices, the committee recommended that such operations be checked. The MPC resolved to continue working with the fiscal authority in order to guarantee the inflationary pressure is kept in check. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The inability of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to file processes before a Kano High Court has stalled hearing in the ongoing fundamental rights suit of the leader of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, and 7 others. When the matter came up for hearing on Tuesday, counsel to the applicants, Robert Hong, told the court that they are ready to proceed with the hearing. He therefore urged the court to adjourn the case for definite hearing. Reports said that the applicants in the suit are the NNPP, Ajoji Ahmed, Dikbo Olayanku, Ahmed Balewa, Chief Clement Anele, Lady Folashade Aliyu, Buba Galadima, and Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. The respondent in the case is the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Vice President Kashim Shettima has affirmed Jigawa State's pivotal role in the federal government's efforts to elevate Nigeria from its current challenges to a state of greatness. This declaration was made during the launch of the 4th Expanded National Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises in Dutse, the capital of Jigawa State. The report.
During his visit to Dutse, the Vice President Kashim Shettima commissioned several developmental projects, including palliative shops. This special intervention by the state government allows citizens, particularly civil servants, to purchase food items at prices lower than the prevailing market rates. Additionally, an empowerment program featuring 300 one-stop shops was also launched among various other initiatives. The Vice President praised Governor Umar Namadi for his efforts in transforming the socio-economic landscape of the state. He noted that the state government's initiatives are in alignment with the federal government goals of addressing Nigeria's socio-economic challenges.
We bring to this new world of vast potential and opportunity the warm greetings of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. We are deeply grateful to the people of Jigawa State for the hospitality with which we are received today, and for hosting a post-expanded MSME clinic under this administration.
Governor Umar Namadi emphasized his administration's commitment to fulfilling its promises to the people of Jigawa, particularly in the areas of poverty eradication, hunger alleviation, and unemployment reduction. The Vice President, accompanied by the governors of Kaduna, Katsina, and host Governor Umar Namadi also visited the NYSC orientation camp in Faniso for the commissioning of another empowerment program.
This is the News Hour coming to you live from Trust Television Studios in Abuja. Still to come. We'll take a look at the role of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission in the face of uncontrolled surge in prices of goods. We'll bring you more news when we return. Just stay with us.
Are you in search of a top-tier studio equipped with state-of-the-art gear for your next productions? Look no further than Trust TV. At Trust TV, we pride ourselves on offering a sizable studio space, furnished with cutting-edge equipment, perfect for podcasts, video productions, and audience-based shows. From professional cameras to advanced lighting setups, we've got everything you need to bring your vision to life. And the best part, our rates are affordable without compromising on quality. Ready to elevate your productions? Contact Aisha at 0803-646-3018 to book your studio at Trust TV today.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Let's have another look at some of our top stories. President Tinubu appeals to Nigerians to shelve planned nationwide protests. CBN raises interest rate to 26.75% amid soaring inflation. Moving on to more stories. And to the National Assembly, the Senate on Tuesday passed for the first, second and third reading a bill for an act to amend the National Minimum Wage Act 2019 to increase the national minimum wage and reduce the time for periodic review of the national minimum wage from 5 years to 3 years, and for related matters 2024. Senate correspondent Sagir Ibrahim brings details.
The executive bill, which enjoyed an accelerated passage at the resumption of Senate plenary on Tuesday, followed a letter from President Bola Tinubu, who appealed for its swift passage to enable the federal government fulfill its own side of the bargain to Nigerians and the organized labor to increase the minimum wage from the current 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira.
For consideration and passage by the Senate. The bill is to prescribe a national minimum wage and also provide a legal framework for a seamless review of the national minimum wage and for other purposes connected therewith.
On the heels of another letter from the President, the Senate passed the Police Act Amendment Bill, seeking to enable a person appointed to the Office of Inspector General of Police to remain in office until the end of the term stipulated in the letter of appointment. The bill also seeks to increase the retirement age of police officers from 60 to 65 years and their tenure of service from 35 to 40 years. Though the bill enjoyed accelerated passage for its first, second, and third reading like the minimum wage bill, some senators raised concerns on the necessity of the bill.
The bill aims to revolutionize police operation by enhancing accountability, modernizing policing method, and fostering a more harmonious relationship between the police and the community.
Until people given appointments perform satisfactorily, when we simply give them the opportunity to serve as far as the tenure in the letter indicates, I think that will be abused because somebody will feel he will not be removed, regardless.
I know, Mr. President, Senate President, you have observed rightly too, that within this period, nothing stops the president from firing. But that leads us back to where we are coming from.
The lawmakers, still on Tuesday's plenary, passed for third reading a bill seeking to amend the 2024 Appropriations Act, increasing the total budget by 6.2 trillion naira from an initial total of 28.7 trillion to 35.055 trillion naira. The bill was passed following the presentation of a report by the chairman, Committee of Appropriations, Senator Adiola Olamilekan.
The committee observed as follows: the need to provide for the government equity component of the renewed hope infrastructural project and other critical projects to be undertaken across the country, and other recurrent expenditure requirements like the provision for new minimum wage, among others, which necessitated the request for the amendment of 2024 Appropriation Act.
Upon consideration of all 13 clauses by the Committee on Supply, the Senate passed the bill for third reading. Meanwhile, Senate President Godswill Akpabio tendered an apology to Senator Natasha Akpoti, representing Kogi Central, for describing her conduct during plenary as one obtainable in nightclubs.
I made reference to the fact that we are not in a nightclub where people have to shout above the noise of the music. The communication was totally misunderstood. I will not intentionally denigrate any woman. The same Senator Natasha, I want to apologize to you.
The Senate President added that he would never intentionally show negative bias towards women. Hence, his comment was quoted out of context. From the Red Chamber of the National Assembly, Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Residents of Gombe State have raised the alarm over the intentional act of debasing the quality of food by either adding or replacing the food substances with undeclared alternative components, or by the removal of some valuable components. As part of efforts to address the menace, the State Police Command has paraded suspects who allegedly adulterated dried okra, even as residents are urging the government to come up with public orientation initiatives to help them identify such foods by themselves. Hassan Koli has more.
With the current inflation and deteriorated economic condition among Nigerians, food adulteration is on increase in markets. Recently, the Gombe State Police Command paraded some people suspected of mixing wood dogs and other substances and distributed to markets as dried okoro, popularly known as busheshir kubewa, which serves as local soup for many households, especially among Hausa Fulani. This development has triggered concern among Gombe residents. The arrest of the said suspect was indeed commendable, and it is an indication that security operatives are doing well in protecting our lives, and fighting such adulteration is a collective responsibility. Public has to be vigilant and cooperating with related authorities to deal with perpetrators. Adulterating dried okoro is condemnable. I wonder if they are really in their senses, because a lot of people will consume such commodities, including pregnant women and children. We are concerned on what we are consuming as food nowadays. It means we and our children are consuming contaminated, if not poisonous substances unknowingly, which is negatively affecting our health status. We are urging authorities to help identify and resolve such acts. We also needed orientation on how to identify adulterated foods ourselves. While people are voicing out their concern, the okro vendors like Muhammad Tayebu are suggesting that although it is hard for marketers to identify adulterated dried okoro, but agreed that there is a general clue of differentiating it with the real one. It's indeed worrisome. As a okoro seller, I sometimes heard about such adulteration. Some bad element among us used to mix dried okoro with wood dust and other substances with the aim of increasing its quantity and maximizing their profit. You see, they are just serving their interests without taking into consideration the interests of the customers. According to public health experts, adulterated food products are responsible for mild to severe health impact. Diarrhea, nausea, allergic reactions, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, etc. are frequently observed illnesses upon consumption of adulterated foods.
So it ends up in sending the population go with a lot of ailments, a lot of diseases, unexplainable diseases, and not knowing even the source of the disease. Sometimes even it can lead to worse conditions like cancer of the parts of the body. Actually, it can affect the digestive system. It can produce some diseases that will affect organs of the body, particularly to do with probably the kidney.
According to World Health Organization (WHO), estimated 600 million, almost 1 in 10 people in the world, fall ill after eating contaminated food, and 420,000 die every year. The body also estimated that $110 billion is lost each year in productivity and medical expenses resulting from unsafe food in low and middle income countries like Nigeria. From Gombe, Hassan Koli reporting for Trust TV.
While expressing the unfortunate state of the IDPs as the nation grapples with rising food prices, Gibson Swadigo reports.
As dry as their temporary shelters are, so are their throats. This is the Amari Temporary Internal Displaced Persons Camp in Yola, Adamawa State Capital, housing 167 households, mostly from Goza in Borno State. The effect of the nation's economic hardship is biting harder here, as families turn to wheat called fatted cassia, known as tafasa in the Hausa language. Lydia Zakaria, mother of 4, is from Goza in Borno State. She is among the first settlers at this camp. For the past 2 weeks, her family has been surviving on fatted cassia as a result of a lack of funds and rising food prices.
Wannan miyan da nake cire ma tun safi na fita. Ina nima wannan shine yanzu na samu kadan nake tsina wannan.
This is what I have gotten since I left home early morning. We will boil and eat as usual. Our children are ill and malnourished due to hunger.
Kwana nawa wani kaman ni ma mba yone ni ya fita mni akai kwanciya gida ma na kai sati ma a kwanciya gida ban da lafiya tsabarin yunwa.
This is the story of almost all the households in this camp. 56-year-old Jugule Ahmed has been the leader of the camp for 7 years. He narrates their ordeal and how children are hunting frogs and lizards as meals for survival.
Kware da gaske kwanakin bayani da kaina na je na ga yara a bayan camp sun kaka makwado daga dangare abunda a cikin al'adar mu ba mu taba ci ba. To sun kaka ma suna gasawa na je na kira wani nace ku duba abunda yara nace me yasa kuna yin haka wai suna jin yunwa.
Lately, I met our children roasting frogs and lizards to eat due to hunger. I know frogs are poisonous, and eating such animals is uncultured. In this camp, you have those who have hunger-induced sicknesses and are only waiting for what God will do with them. Malnourishment, cells of belongings, and hunger-induced illnesses are the order of the day at this camp. Humanitarian actor Maurice Gueranga called for decisive action against hunger in various IDP camps across the nation.
The IDPs have no means of livelihood. They cannot hire farms to cultivate farms, so they serve as day laborers. They go out in the morning looking for labor to plant or weed in people's farms, and if they are lucky to get something, then they are able to maybe buy gari or something to make porridge for the children.
The camp was established in 2014. As dry as their temporary shelters are, so are their throats. This was established in 2014 at the height of the Boko Haram onslaught in the northeast states of Nigeria. Gibson So Adgo, Trust TV News, Yola.
Mike Osuman, while fielding questions from journalists at the Kaduna State Government House on Monday. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more on the story.
The Kaduna State Governor, Senator Obasani, says despite the multicultural, multi-ethnic, and multi-religious composition of northern Nigeria, the ACF remains a rallying point to solving challenges confronting the region and urge everyone to join hands in tackling challenges facing the region.
Insecurity in the north has retarded developments in the critical sectors. A lot of farmers cannot access their farms. Food insecurity now confronts us directly. Child and maternal mortality are on the rise, particularly here in northern Nigeria. Our infrastructure have decayed. The moves to address our infrastructural deficit are equally threatened by insecurity. From this very disturbing picture, it is clear that northern Nigeria faces existential threats as we are speaking. This is therefore a time for all hands to be on deck to pull the region back from the brink.
The chairman of Arewa Consultative Forum says the purpose of the visit is to promote a deeper conversation around insecurity and food crisis ravaging northern Nigeria, amongst others.
We reached the consensus that the National Publicity Secretary should speak out on behalf of ACF, completely disassociating the ACF, and to tell our people that it is ill-timed, it's not purpose-driven, and it is not in the interest of the North and the country.
Governor Sani assured the region that northern Nigeria will soon overcome the current security and socio-economic challenges. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Youth from Nigeria's Middle Belt region have lent their voices to those calling on Nigerians to shelve the planned hunger strikes scheduled for 1st to 10th of August 2024. According to the youth, planned protests are not motivated by altruism but by selfish ambition. Dorcas Yakobu has more.
Ahead of the planned demonstrations, government officials are on high alert, with the Nigerian police force planning to mobilize extensive security measures to prevent them. There are concerns about potential violence and disruptions, with youths from the Middle Belt urging the protest organizers to seek dialogue instead of taking to the streets.
We have other means like writing petitions. We have social media campaigns. Do you get it? But this country already is overheated with so many sentiments. Not only political rivalry, not only religious and ethnic sentiment. There is people, I'm telling you, who believe no. As far as Bola Tinubu remain the president of Nigeria, they don't have chance of ruling. They are looking 8 years. It's far.
The youth leaders allege that the conflict is being fueled by groups of people trying to sabotage the Tinubu-led administration.
It is a political coup on the ground. I said it, quote me everywhere. It is a political coup on the ground. There are people who are foiling it, who are pushing innocent Nigeria to occupy the street of Nigeria. They are taking advantage of the hunger in the country. That is all. But they have their own personal motives.
This truly is not a natural protest. This is a protest that is being coined by some people, perceived people we feel, that are not happy with what is happening in the system. And they want to use the situation we find ourselves in today to turn things around against the government of the day.
They called on youths to desist from the planned protests so as to avoid widespread violence.
So we advise for dialogue and we call for people. We have so many other outlets that we can air our voices to the government, and we have already still advised the government, this present administration, to cut down costs. Since we have an economic hardship now, costs can be cut so that to harness everything so that masses can survive.
The End SARS protest that took place in October 2020 had a profound impact, highlighting the power of social media in mobilizing and organizing protests. Following the violent aftermath of the protests, many believe that the planned hunger strike may snowball into something worse, with their consequences if not arrested. Dorcas Yakubu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, on Tuesday warned against any violence under the guise of replicating the protest which shook Kenya. Following some policies which aggrieved Kenyans considered anti-masses, young persons trooped to the parliament and strategic places across Kenya last month. The protest had led to some reforms, including cabinet reshuffle. Reports have been making the rounds that some groups are currently mobilizing for protest under the theme End Bad Governance. But speaking at the force headquarters in Abuja, during a strategic meeting with top police officers from the rank of Commissioners of Police, Assistant Inspector General of Police, and the Deputy Inspector General of Police on Tuesday, Egbetokun advised those planning the protest to jettison the idea, saying the police would not fold their arms watching them engaging in violence. The police boss said the force's decision was based on what happened during the last End SARS protest nationwide, insisting that the police particularly has not been relieved of the trauma they passed through. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says it is working within the confines of the law and its Establishment Act to ensure that the rights of the Nigerian consumers are protected. The acting executive vice chairman of the commission, Adamu Abdullahi, disclosed this while speaking to Trust TV News against the backdrop of allegations that the commission is yet to address arbitrary price increase and other consumer-based issues amidst the economic downturn in the country. Trust TV's Neil Sampson has more.
Vice Chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, Adamu Abdullahi, highlighted how the commission is protecting Nigerians from the activities of loan sharks, especially in terms of cyberbullying during recovery process as well as overpricing of goods.
We had to work together with both the CBN itself, which has to bring down their bank accounts from banks, as well as both these AI companies that register that they have their platforms on. Okay. So they now bring them down. So when their apps are brought down, they had no choice but to come to us. When they came to us, that's how we now got to have all that information. So once we got that information, it's now a matter of whenever they do anything wrong, we know who to catch, and we can always punish them. We are not a price regulatory agency. We don't fix prices for commodities and services in this country. We are not. This is due to the fact that this is a deregulated economy. In regulated economies, you don't fix prices because you don't have to agree. You don't know at what rate goods are produced. The only thing that we investigate are issues of price gouging or price fixing. This is when elements come together or companies come together and agree on the price that they're going to charge for a fee or for a service or for a product.
He also spoke about the update on the fine of $220 million posed on Meta for multiple data privacy violations.
We have a report, 116-page report, that says ABCD of how they are violated and says ABCD of how we have agreed, we have arrived at those sanctions. And so the final order has gone out. We have sanctioned them 220 million USD. And yes, they have challenged it. We do believe that they should. They have every right to. And these things normally will end in court and end in settlement out of court. So we have got a task. We are waiting. Let them challenge it, and then we'll go and show them what it is that we have as proof, and let them show us why they feel that they have not done any violation.
Some FCT residents expressed opposing views on whether the commission is fulfilling its mandate or not.
No, because of the hike of prices is not favorable on the masses.
I would say they should do more. is work harder for the benefit of the people, the consumers.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, is the highest federal competition regulator in Nigeria. FCCPC operates within the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment and is responsible for protecting market competition and promoting consumer protection. Well, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're still watching the News Hour tonight on Trust Television. We'll take a breather now. We'll be right back.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back into more stories. Nigerians have been anxiously awaiting the arrival of the Dangote oil refinery with hopes that the refinery would be a game changer in the oil sector, as many believe that the $20 billion refinery will aid in solving a plethora of problems existing within the oil sector. However, on Monday, amidst monopoly allegations, Aliko Dangote expressed willingness to sell his upcoming refinery to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, stating the national oil company should buy him out.
The Dangote refinery began operations last year with the supply of aviation fuel into the market and is set to start supplying fuel into the domestic market in August. The refinery, when fully operational, is expected to save Nigeria up to 30% of foreign exchange expenditure on imports while reducing the country's dependency on imported petroleum products. Amidst outbursts by President of the group Aliko Dangote over crude oil supply, the federal government, through its agency, the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, says the refinery has not been officially licensed by the authority. NMDPRA also said the refinery is only at 45% completion, while also questioning the quality of fuel produced from the $20 billion refinery.
Nigerians should know that Dangote has monopoly of everything, from sugar to flour to cement to everything. Okay, you want to establish a refinery. Refinery is not an industry that someone will just go into without knowing the rudiments, without doing the necessary survey, the necessary investigation.
On the allegations of undersupply of crude by the NNPC Limited, analyst says issues can be resolved within the two parties without resulting to media war.
And where is the crude? If we produce crude, maybe about 1 million, for example, 400 or 700 million, 1,700,000 or 400,000. Half is stolen. The crude is not there. Oil theft, bunkering. Those that they are untouchables.
This public affairs analyst says the method used by regulatory bodies will not only affect the oil and gas sector, but may scare prospective investors away from the country.
We have seen the public sector manage the refineries and they simply did not work or produce the right result. Till this moment where we have a Nigerian who has decided to put in over $20 billion or so to build a private refinery. That is one of the biggest risks I think anybody can take. We are not seeing the former president, even though he's an agriculturist, refused to be Minister of Agriculture, but he chose to be Minister of Petroleum. So that is just to underscore the level of public interest in the NMP, because that is our low-hanging fruit, where we explore and then exploit oil and then we get revenue in dollars. So the money is the attraction, but we are supposed to be pushing other sectors in this manner.
On Monday, a House of Representatives committee said it will probe into the importation of unclean fuel and the scarcity of crude for local refineries. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And to the Green Chamber of the National Assembly, The House of Representatives has called for the suspension of the Chief Executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Authority pending the conclusion of investigations into the allegations against the authority. This followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance by Representative Esosa Iyawe on the House's urgent need to address the outrage resulting from what he called unguarded comments from him. Iyawe had reminded the House that the fuel quality can impact engine hardware, noting that ultra-low sulfur diesel is recommended for all types of companies, power plants, storage tanks, industrial facilities, fleets and heavy equipment, and even ships, as high sulfur content in fuels causes damage to engines and contributes to air pollution. He said considering the various risks associated with sulfur, governments around the world have taken steps to regulate it by setting standards that require maximum reduction of emissions of the chemical compound, which diesel producers are expected to adhere to. He alleged that recently the chief executive of the NMDPRA stated that the diesel produced by the Dangote refinery is inferior to the ones imported into the country, adding that their fuel had a large content of sulfur, which he put at between 650 to 1,200 ppm. He expressed concerns that the careless statement by the chief executive of the NMDPRA without conducting any prior investigation is not only unprofessional but also unpatriotic, especially in the face of the recent calls for protest against the federal government. Let's now join Yusuf Akogu for the business news.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogu. The value of automated teller machine ATM transaction fell year-on-year by 13.6% to 28.2 trillion naira in 2023 from 32.65 trillion naira in 2022. The Central Bank of Nigeria disclosed this in its March 2024 statistical bulletin. Details of the data show that volume of ATM transactions also declined year-on-year by 7 million or 0.5% to 1.38 billion in 2023 from 1.387 billion in 2022. The volume and value of internet transactions, however, grew by 40% during the period, surpassing the ATM transactions. The decline in the volume and value of transactions reflect the effect of the cash scarcity during the first quarter of 2023, resulting from the resigning of the 200 naira note, 500 naira note, and 1,000 naira by the past administration. The Director General of West Africa Region African Development Bank (AFDB), Lamin Barrow, said the bank has invested cumulatively $10.9 billion in different sectors in Nigeria. Barrow said this at the second interactive session and workshop on developing banking businesses, proposal and business plans for youth in agriculture on Monday in Abuja. According to him, the AFDB President Akumi Adesina, upon assumption of office 8 years ago, prioritized power, feed, industrialize, integrate, and improve the quality of life for the people of Africa. He said these were the accelerators for achieving the SDGs and other targets in the African Union Agenda 2063. He said the projects and programs supported during this period have impacted over 400 million people. NGX closed Tuesday trading in red as profit taking continue on the floor. Let's see how it went down there. The losing equities there. UPL leading that table there, down 9.92% to close at 2 naira and 27 kobo per share. John Holt down as well, 9.87% to close at 2 naira and 83 kobo per share. Of course, Omatech also down 9.46% to close at 67 kobo per share. Of course, this has dragged down the market down 0.08%. Volume of trade 280.922 million shares, valued at 3.625 billion naira. In a list of 8,403 did exchanges among investors this Tuesday. Of course, leading the top trading equities there is Veritas Capital, 22.505 million shares traded. UCAP, 20.854 million shares. Of course, Jais Bank, 20.784 million shares traded at the close of business this Tuesday. Of course, some equities ended on the gaining side of the market. Leading that table is Ikeja Hotel up there 7.58% to close at 7 naira and 10 kobo per share. Of course, Linkage Assurance also up there 6.90% to close at 93 kobo per share. Of course, Cavity Helicopter also up there 5% gain to close at 1 naira and 47 kobo per share. And that's the highlight of stock trading as it went down this Tuesday on the floor of NGS. Let's see the global stock market and exchange rate data for today. Oil price dip on Tuesday has grown expectation of a ceasefire in the war in Gaza weigh on prices, more than offsetting news of a potential September interest rate cut in the European Union that supported sentiment. At the London market, Brent crude sells for $81 per barrel. For the oil basket, price drops to $84 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akogu.
Thank you, Yusuf Akogu, for the business news. And now let's take it away from Nigeria. Rescue teams have so far retrieved the bodies of 157 people killed in 2 landslides in southern Ethiopia, a local official has said. The landslides occurred on Sunday evening and Monday morning after heavy rains in a remote, mountainous area of the Gofa zone. The local authority said the search for survivors was continuing vigorously, adding that the death toll could increase. Footage showed hundreds of people gathered at the scene and others digging in the dirt in search of people trapped underneath. In the background, a hillside can be seen partially collapsed with a large patch of red earth exposed. The chief administrator of Goza Zone, Dagmawi Ayele, said the dead included both adults and children, while 10 people rescued alive were receiving treatment in hospital. Time now to join Adeni Ajisafe for the latest in sports.
The Asian city of Ibadan will be agog as hundreds of primary and secondary school students will be arriving in the city to compete for tickets to the International School Sports Federation World Athletics Trials. The event is scheduled to select Nigerian representative at the World Schools Athletics Championship 2024 that will be held in Bahrain. The trials will feature young athletes in under 12 for primary school pupils, under 15 for junior secondary school students, and under 18 for senior secondary school students. Chairman of Oyo State Athletics Association Isaac Ogada said Oyo State is ready to host a hitch-free event. The school sport trials will run from 5th to 9th August 2024. And in Olympics, the Nigeria Olympic Committee NOC in collaboration with the Sport Ministry have announced 2 key appointments ahead of the opening of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. The games set to officially open on 26 July 2024 in Paris, France. In a statement released by NOC scribe and press attaché to Team Nigeria, Tony Nezaya confirmed Tobi Amusan as Team Nigerian flag bearer, while Anoluwapo Opoyori of badminton team as general team captain. Tobi Amusan, the reigning world champion in the 100-meter women hurdles, will be one of Nigeria's brightest medal prospects in Paris. Amusan set a world-leading time of 12.40 seconds, highlighting her impressive form heading into the Olympics. She narrowly edged out 2-time world champion Daniel Williams of Jamaica, who finished second with a time of 12.46 seconds. Badminton star Anoluwapo Opoyori is an experienced badminton player who has been representing Nigeria since 2017. Opoyori won African Championships and African Games in singles event in 2019 and also competed at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. As general team captain, Okoyari will play a crucial role in providing leadership and guidance to the Nigerian team contingent in Paris, drawing on his international experience to inspire his teammates to achieve best results. And still on the Olympics, French President Emmanuel Macron said France is ready to host the Paris Olympics after visiting the athletes' village before the games begin. France has been preparing for the games for years at the start of a decisive week of the opening ceremony and the Olympiad holding in Paris 100 years since inception. International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach visited the village where thousands of athletes and officials are arriving, with up to 14,500 expected at the peak of the games. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
That's about the size of our package tonight on News Hour. Do not forget, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. I am Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.